The main level altcoins are really struggling at this point in time. We actually see some of them at levels we haven't seen in the past 6 months. In this video, I'm going to go over the ones that I think are going to prove to have the best returns for the people who are actually paying attention and DCAing during this time period. Because number one, everyone's focused on meme coins. We had the Ansem token launch on Solana. People are in the trenches. We had 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Cash Cat. So a lot of people's focuses are on the trenches currently. But if this is a traditional 4-year cycle, the next couple of months are crucial. And if you accumulate the proper alts, you will come out on top. I'm going to go over the ones that I am buying at this point in time. While everyone's attention is focused on meme coins, I think that these will provide great returns when the market does turn around and then when this indicator hits. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. Be sure to drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. Every single week here, Monday through Friday, we have you covered on In the Money with everything you need to win across crypto, prediction markets, and more. And I want to give a shout out to our sponsors here on the channel, and a big shout out to Bitfunded. Bitfunded is one of the absolute best prop firms in the crypto space, the easiest place to get a funded account in crypto. All you have to do is take a challenge. I believe they have 2 steps, 1 steps, and instant verification as far as their challenges, some of the most competitive pricings, and also their rules are very generous for traders. If you are looking to get funded up to $100,000 account, you can hit the Bitfunded link down below in the description. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the action. As mentioned, if we were to pull up charts for like Ansem or Cash Cat, whatever the case is, people are really focused on memes and the trenches. The FOMO app has really invigorated a lot of people, and people are just really diving into these new launches, and they want to see if they can catch a moonshot on something like Robinhood Chain. And I completely understand. It's brought a lot of energy back into crypto, and a lot of people feel like there's a lot of opportunity out there in the market currently. And I tweeted that same thing. I do think that crypto is more exciting than it has been in quite some time, maybe over the last 6 months. Like, other than the AI token run that we caught between Venice and Tau and all those types of things, and the Hyperliquid run to like 75, that was fantastic. But, you know, meme coins just pull out a different type of energy in your soul, and people are really diving into that. But we can look across the board. You know, we see Bitcoin's down 3% on the 24 hours. We see stuff like Hyperliquid's down 11% on the 7 days. That's been really rare to see over the course of time. We have Near down 8% on the 7-day timeline. A lot of these tokens that you see here are just absolutely struggling because all the liquidity is in memes. But I think this will actually prove to be the best time to be buying. I said buy quality altcoins now. Everyone is focused on the trenches and Robinhood Chain, etc. And rightfully so. That's where the activity and the volume is currently. And volume will always come back into top tier alts. I have my core focuses, and we're going to talk about those in this video. Number one for me, anytime I look at Hyperliquid and it's down double digits on a weekly time frame, and if we look at this monthly chart, let's just go to this monthly. It's still up, but you know, we saw this thing as high as $77 and get as low as 59. I mean, that's a crazy dip for something like Hyperliquid. The hype economist here, he went ahead and said the hype chart is getting close to looking kind of ugly over this weekly time frame. Limit orders are set. We're finally going to sweep that liquidity below $9. So he's kind of trolling people that have been waiting forever for Hyperliquid entries. I actually think right now is not even a bad time to buy. And the reason I say this is the liquidity is actually trending up still. I know I've talked about this chart a lot. I come to this. It's kind of a staple for me to look at. But the TVL chart on Hyperliquid, this thing just continues to grow. Hyperliquid's down 11% and down from $76 to its current price of $63. But the liquidity on the chain just continues to grow. That is an incredibly bullish metric for me. And another reason that I think that Hyperliquid is probably still the strongest overall buy in the entire market at this point in time. Number two, a lot of people are actually, I think, fading this a little too much at this point in time. And I remain very, very bullish on this token. And it's finally fallen below $200. This is Bittensor Tau. Now, as much hate as this has gotten because of ever since that subnet Templar left the ecosystem, a lot of people were very, very bearish, but we could still filter on this chart. And we can see here on the month, there's still some of these subnets that are thriving. And if we look at the actual Tau inflows, you can actually see some of these are still gaining net positive tau every single month, which is very, very bullish. Now, if you're wondering what these subnets do, if you're new to Bittensor Tau or you don't understand it, these are basically AI companies building on Bittensor's network. So I kind of see Bittensor as Y Combinator of the AI decentralized space. And then the next AI play I'm going to talk about is actually quite the opposite, which is why I like both of them at this point in time. Let's take, for example, you have 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. So 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 is subnet number 96 in the Bittensor ecosystem. You can see here it's only at a $1.98 million market cap, but this thing's up 74% over the last 45 days. And 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a really unique protocol. You can see here verified intelligence for everyone. The world has already got the hardware power needed for AI. The problem isn't a shortage of hardware or anything like that. It's the trust. Like, are you going to run your data through these different platforms? That's kind of their ethos here. There's no way to verify the correct AI model was used whenever you're using these different models. And 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏's subnet 96, like I mentioned here, is actually built as a verification system. It trusts math, not just the compute provider. And then also they use the world's idle computer, which becomes a global intelligence network, the verified AI stack. You can just run through here. These are the types of companies building on Bittensor Tau. And the world's idle compute becomes a global intelligence network when using 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So you can check out a link down below. I'll leave a link to Tau stats as well as 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I think that all of these protocols, like if we just go back here and look between 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and all of these different subnets on the network, you can find so many different interesting protocols, which is why I remain very bullish on Bittensor Tau. Moving on to the next AI tokens that I am still very bullish on, it would be Near Protocol. Look, I do think that Near Protocol has been a big sleeper this cycle. I think we were all focused on Bittensor. We were focused on Venice. And we'll talk about Venice here in a second and why I think the downside target is pretty low, but probably why it will bounce as well. We'll talk about that here in a second. Near Protocol. This thing, if we look at the yearly chart, started to go on a nice run here. It bottomed out around 96 cents, hit almost $3 here, which was a really great trade for those of you who got involved with that one. But Near, they power some of the biggest privacy networks in all of crypto. So on Zcash, shielded transactions, which shielded transactions mean like private transactions, they went from about 30% of the activity in early 2025 to an all-time high of 60% by February 2026. As more value moves on chain and analytics get sharper, more of that value wants to move confidently. So that value demand runs on near intents. So what they're saying is near intents is the actual tech that is powering privacy layer on big giant tokens and networks like Zcash. So Near is agnostic, any chain, any asset, liquidity, private, hardened, agentic. They have it all whenever it comes to Near Protocol, which is why I'm very bullish. And we look at the market cap at $2.47 billion. We still go compare this to some vaporware that I think is just going to continue to fall down the charts. It's like the same market cap as Avalanche. And as much as it pains me to say, like, I think Avalanche is basically trending towards zero over the long term. Like, unfortunately, it's something that I used to be a really big fan of. I think that their gaming, segment at one point was leading the space, but unfortunately, it just feels like that's not going to come to fruition. Stuff like 𝗁𝗏𝗏𝗏, like I feel like Near Protocol, Bittensor Tau, Venice, these types of tokens probably deserve to be valuated as much as, if not more than, stuff like Avalanche and 𝗁𝗏𝗏𝗏. I think that these networks just don't have a lot going on at this point in time. And I think that these AI coins are going to be some of the most retail-friendly products. Think about it. When we look across the normal world, you have Fable, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, all these different models coming out, and everyone trying to learn AI and automating their lives, deploying agents and all this stuff. I think that people are going to come in whenever crypto does turn around. We'll talk about when that's going to happen, by the way, and why this is the best time period to be DCAing. Whenever that does happen, people are going to come look at the hot niches from the stock market and real world, which is AI. So that's why I remain bullish on Tau and Near Protocol. And I do want to talk about Venice. Obviously, I think ever since they announced this equity split thing that they did, you see here on the chart, I mean, this thing was on an astronomical run. We DCA'd right here around $8.50. This thing trailed ran all the way to $21. Absolute crazy run on this token. And then they announced this unicorn Series A fundraise. So they raised a $650 million equity round. And ever since then, this thing has been on a straight path downward. I will be honest, I think it's time to maybe shave a little bit off your bag. If you did DCA at that $8 level with me, take a little bit of profit. However, I do think that the downside could probably touch that $8 mark, $9 mark again, like we saw a few months ago. But I do think when the market overall turns around, I think this is the type of token that will still pump. And I think those equity effects will definitely come in later. So short term, still pretty bullish on 𝗩𝗏, but I think as time goes on, that equity thing, value is just going to go to the shareholders. And I think the token could overall become, I don't want to say irrelevant, but somewhat irrelevant. And it seems like they'll probably do whatever they can to pump it, because everyone on Twitter was saying, oh, okay, now 𝗩𝗏 is worthless. They were defending it on the timeline. So we'll see what happens there. My sleeper would be Zcash. I still think Zcash leads the privacy narrative overall. And to be completely honest with you, I think that obviously they had that exploit a few months ago. People got really scared. Like, is this something to be concerned about? Is this causing, bearish sentiment on Zcash? Really, it's not. And if we look at the volume, it's still trending, one of the biggest volume tokens out there. It has more volume on the 24 hours than even Hyperliquid, and it's just trailing Tron. So when you look at the activity and the volume this token's catching, I absolutely think Zcash could still be a big pivotal part of your portfolio moving forward. But just keep in mind that exploit did scare some people off, but that actually could be good. It sidelined a little bit of capital. The big money that's still in Zcash is going to still ride it up, which I think could cause some momentum to the upside. And last but not least, why am I so confident that right now is the best time to DCA? Well, let's just look at some of the factors and the catalysts out there. So we see President Trump calling for the Senate to pass the Crypto Clarity Act. Makes sense. There was public news that Eric Trump actually had lost $600 million unrealized, I think, on Bitcoin. So what is Trump going to turn around and do? He's likely to give Bitcoin a little bit of that tender love and care and try to pump it back to the upside to kind of bail out his family's investment fund. So keep that's with a grain of salt, a little bit of a conspiracy, but I mean, it's not a coincidence. I think that the Monday after the news came out that Eric Trump is down $600 million of the Trump fortune on Bitcoin, that Trump turns around and says, hey, we got to pass this Clarity Act. So we'll see what happens there. And then, yes, traditionally, I love what Ghost said here. Every day I wake up and see the charts are all red. I remind myself, it's almost October. You know the song, Wake Me Up When September Ends? I think that's what we're all waiting for at this point in time, because the 4-year cycle traditionally has shown us that the bottom of the bear market is 12 months after the top of the previous peak of the bull, which would be that 126K level around August. Now, this would put it about 12 to 14 months out, but I think October is a pivotal time period where we could see some upside. And if the 4-year cycle is still intact, here we go. This will be the best time to be sticking your nose into crypto right now and actually accumulating quality altcoins. And last but not least, guys, we are launching the In the Money server. Now, this is going to be one of the most alpha-packed servers. I have multiple traders across meme coins, leverage. We have people that are going to be just diving into the trenches, myself doing prediction markets. We have sports bettors, etc. We are going to have you covered on how to make money in modern markets. That is what In the Money is all about. We talk about crypto, we talk about prediction markets, and we actually launched this in just a few days. You can join up on the wait list right now and get in at $49 a month, and that will be forever. That'll be your rate until this group, eventually, well, it'll never stop, but at the same time, you'll have that grandfathered in $49 a month for the whole duration of time. So check out the link in the description, inthemoney.live. We launch actually on this Thursday. or Friday. I think this would be Friday. Let me see, 14th, 15th. 16th. Yeah, we launch on Friday, the 17th. Had to do a little quick calendar math there, but we'll see you in the group because I think this is going to be one of the most profitable groups in the entire spectrum of servers out there. So check out In the Money down below. And we're going to be crushing it in crypto, crushing it on Polymarket, Kalshi, and more, guys. So that's going to do it for today's video. I am extremely bullish heading into the fall. I think that's going to be the best time to have, DCA'd right now. So right now is the best time to look, find some levels. Okay, this is where I want to DCA on Hyperliquid or Near Protocol, etc. If those levels hit, confidently hit those DCAs and just wait. Attention's in the trenches right now, but I firmly think the strong altcoins are going to bounce tremendously once we head into the fall, guys. So like the video down below, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, trade responsibly and stay bullish, my friends.